I mean, he could have been deported literally anywhere else.
Again, we can keep going back and back, but again, that was years ago. Country conditions were different. That gang no longer exists in El Salvador. He has been designated a terrorist since that time. 2 different federal judges said he's an MS-13 member. A police department said he's an MS-13 member. ICE data shows he's an MS-13 member. El Salvador says he's an MS-13 member. As you know, MS-13 has been designated terrorist. The case says the facts of the case have changed since that first decision. So again, I'll leave it up to the DOJ to argue that case in court, but that is where I stand, and that's my belief.
That's Trump border czar Tom Homan ending the politically biased and ridiculous Maryland dad narrative surrounding the deportation of Abrego Garcia, to the utter dismay of CNN host and square jaw reporter Caitlin Collins. Welcome to Nerk News. I'm Nerkish, and it looks like that once again Democrats and their America Last lackeys and establishment media are showing their true colors over the recent defense of yet another deported illegal alien with alleged gang affiliations. Here's Caitlin Collins getting a much-needed reality check from Homan about the nature of these deportations.
Are you personally aware of any steps that have been taken to facilitate his return to the United States?
Look, I think he's a citizen of El Salvador. He's in El Salvador. He's home. He's an illegal alien with a final order of removal. He's a MS-13 member, which is now classified as a terrorist. So we removed an illegal alien, MS-13 member, who has a final order removal issued by an immigration judge to his homeland.
So should I read that as to say nothing has been done to bring him back to the United States? That's what it sounds like.
I can't speak to everybody in the administration. I can just tell you what my stance is. And I think we did the right thing. I think he's where he should be. And even if he came back, people think he's going to be released and go back to, no, he's going to be detained. And he's going to be removed as per the order removal, either to El Salvador or another country. So this person has an order removal. He's seen 2 different immigration judges, and he's been ordered deported. And that's exactly what happened.
But of course, you are someone who is at the center of the immigration fight and deporting people who are here illegally. This one individual.
How's that the center of the immigration fight and all these? It's just, you know, Caitlin, no one asks these questions about the proper vetting of the millions of people the Biden administration pushed across the border, at least in this country illegally. No one's concerned about the vetting then. All of a sudden now everybody wants to be concerned about the vetting of people that even be deported. I mean, it seems like a one-side show, but I stand by the fact that I think things were done right with this case. He's an MS-13 gang member. He has a final order of removal. He is a designated terrorist, and he's back in El Salvador, his homeland. And anything beyond that, we'll let the courts settle on it.
That's an excellent point from Homan, because the left seems to have a funny habit of using cases like Lake and Riley's as outliers to justify unfettered access to our country and open borders, but will then turn around and do mental gymnastics to argue that deporting an illegal alien to his home country is some sort of constitutional crisis in violation of basic human rights, which is absolutely absurd when you consider how often they seem to be in favor of sidestepping the Constitution to justify their political beliefs. I mean, after all, I don't recall them getting this worked up when it's the rights of their opponents being trampled on.
In her ruling, the judge here, Judge Zinnes, that I quoted of Maryland, said, quote, "No evidence before the court connects Abrego Garcia to MS-13 or any other criminal organization." You just argued yourself that you believe there is evidence of that. Why has that not been included in this? Why has the administration not made that argument, not just publicly on television, but in court?
Well, there is evidence. Like 2 different federal judges said he was MS-13 member, immigration court. That's a part of the file. The file's there. And I think yesterday the administration did release police reports on the subject being an MS-13 member and being involved with MS-13 activities, and even had rank within MS-13. I think some of those reports were released yesterday.
You know, I've seen some people look at this and say they're worried that the stance of this administration when it comes to this is that if someone is deported by accident, that they have no responsibility for them once they are in the custody of a foreign government. What would you say to that?
Well, they're in the custody of El Salvador. He's an El Salvadoran national. He was born in El Salvador. El Salvador has him in custody, and El Salvador decide what happened to him. I mean, again, the El Salvadoran president made it clear he's not going to release him. So again, I'm going to go back. The DOJ, they can fight this out in the courts. As I'm not a part of that. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a prosecutor. So we'll let the courts, decide what the next steps will be.
The narrative over this is getting absolutely insane as the left keeps trying to grasp at straws. I mean, let's not forget that Garcia was detained in 2019 with MS-13 members, with officials noting his hoodie and hat as gang symbols. On top of that, a reliable informant identified him as MS-13, and a judge denied him bond based on that evidence. Then there's the 2022 DHS report that suggested he might be involved in human trafficking, and a report of his wife filing a protective order alleging abuse. But the most important thing out of all of this is that 2 judges and 3 officers corroborated his MS-13 ties. But despite that fact and everything else, the left seems to want to turn him into another one of their terrible martyrs and pretend that they're suddenly concerned about law and order.
The one place he can't go is El Salvador, where he's from. He claimed that he was concerned he could be persecuted if he was returned. Why not simply have him return to the U.S., detain him, and then deport him to a third country? Wouldn't that be in accordance with the law?
I think we're in accordance with the law. I mean, I'm not an attorney. I'm not DOJ fighting this case, but my opinion, in the years I spent doing this job, he is now designated a terrorist. The withholding orders is set aside. And we got to remember, the withholding order was issued years ago. Things have changed. El Salvador is one of the safest countries in the region because of the steps President Bukele take. You know, the gangs are no longer operating on the streets of Venezuela, in El Salvador. That's why he built that prison. So I don't think the gang danger that they once thought was there is even there anymore. So the situation has changed. It's much like temporary protection status, the TPS. That's only temporary. When the conditions in the country have changed, TPS can be ended and they can be removed to the country.
At the end of the day, the response from Democrats and the media about this is just more anti-Trump obstructionist nonsense. It's all reactionary. I mean, let's not forget that this is the side that was trying to get people fired for making the OK sign by arguing that it was some sort of super secret extremist dog whistle. Those same people are now suddenly playing stupid and arguing that you can't identify gang affiliation through clothing or tattoos. I've legitimately seen them try to suggest that the photos Trump was sharing of his tattoos were digitally altered to make his case, which is amusing because he's just another tool to serve their agenda, which appears to be opposing the will of the people, wasting more resources, and keeping arguably violent illegals in the country because they don't like President Trump or give 2 craps about anything other than their own petty politics. But let me know what you think. How do you think this Garcia case will play out? Do liberals have a valid argument against President Trump, or will this whole thing be thrown out upon further review? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. That stuff really does help us out. Until then, this has been Nerk News. Thanks for watching. Bye.